Hello to everyone, my name is Daniel Rodriguez and today I'm going to talk about an interesting topic called cultural differences in English session. To start in my introduction, I'm going to talk about a culture and language. Then in my speech I have three important parts. Firstly, the relation of culture and teaching, traditional and current situation of English teaching in China. Secondly, how to present cultural background knowledge and expose learners in order to teach the language and develop the comprehensive English ability. And thirdly, the model of classroom that is proposed by teaching culture. Moreover, I conclude with the importance of reading culture. And at the end, I give my point of view about the topic. Language is a part of culture and plays a very important role in the development of the culture. It is the keystone of culture. Without language, culture will not be available. At the same time, language plays a very important part in language teaching. There is a relationship between culture and language, and as a result, the gap of cultural differences is one of the most important barriers in English teaching study. Firstly, in the traditional English teaching in China, English is considered as a sequence of phonetics, grammar, and vocabulary, neglecting cultural knowledge input. This usually causes cultural breakdowns, as communication between China and Western countries is becoming closer. Cultural factors should be paid enough attention. In fact, China has the world's biggest population of English learners, and that's why it's important to introduce more cultural background knowledge. On the one hand, in traditional Chinese culture, the values are collectivism, harmony, hierarchy, humility, and courtesy. Where in collectivism, family is the basic unit, not the individual. Harmony, avoid conflicts and accept and respect each person's need. Hierarchy, where people have to accept the social position. Humility, because people show respect for seniority. And courtesy has always played a key role in Chinese culture when interacting with people. On the other hand, American culture has been viewed as cultural pluralism because the diversification and immigration. The American culture is often referred to as an individualistic culture where people carry their personal goals. Six core values or beliefs have evolved as traditional American values: freedom of the individual, self-reliance, equality of opportunity, competition, the desire of material wealth and hard work. Freedom for Americans means the right of all individuals to control their own destiny without outside interference. Also, Americans understand the right to have equal chance for success in life, but not that everyone is equal. As the wealth generated was and is still converted into material possessions, and this evidence the hard work. Secondly, learning a language, in fact, is inseparable from learning its culture. However, culture has not been given enough care in our teaching for a long time. All the above dialects are roughly the combination of Chinese thinking and English form, and all the such forms are correct, but they are not appropriate. In teaching English, listening, if we listen something related to culture, people can understand the connotation because the lack of knowledge in cultural background. Moreover, to understand Western way of life and custom help in oral training to speak English appropriate to the occasion. Knowledge of cultural background is also important in reading with the use of some common terms or expression in reading material, for example, idioms. that are an important part of the language and culture of a society. Similarly, writing and translating cannot be separated from cultural background knowledge. In translation, the expression must be considered by context and customs. Adding writing, Chinese and English have different writing styles. Thirdly, because of the different culture between China and English countries, there are some differences of communication in some situations. In both English and Chinese, there are expressions of gratitude. For example, differences lie in what to thank, for whom to thank. In compliment, it is hard to say who is right and who is wrong because of cultural differences. But comparison and contrast also helps learners explain different cultural behaviors. Besides, behavior differs from culture to culture, so activities must involve learners' active participation in communication, such as role play, information gap activities, problem solving activities, and etc. Also, teachers should make good use of the text and help students grasp cultural information in English learning. And using authentic sources from the native speech community helps to engage students in authentic cultural experiences. To sum up, teachers should let learners not only pay attention to cultural differences but also try to understand and study the differences to avoid misunderstanding in study and communication. In my personal opinion, I consider that culture is important and vital in teaching a second language. And that is why many people prefer to live in the native country of the second language due to meaningful learning thanks to the culture. As I mentioned before, for a Chinese it's more difficult to learn English if he or she doesn't know about American living and how these people use the language in their context. So if a person is interested in learning a second language, but that person doesn't know about the new culture, I think he is in serious problems because in some cases we believe that we are being polite, but we don't know if the other person is being disrespected because we ignore what is politeness in the other culture. Also, I consider that for teaching or as a future teacher, it's vital to take into account the culture in the classroom and to teach the students how learn the language through the native or different culture. Thank you. See you next video.